Strengthening leadership is at the core of the UN reform process. The new leadership vision encapsulated in the UN System Leadership Framework provides the entire system with a common reference to a value-based leadership approach. We see a new leadership culture, which is anchored in a call to action and a call for change for all UN personnel, regardless of their level, duties, and location. In the Spotlight interview series hosted by the UN Emerging Leaders Experience program at UN System Staff College, we explore the perspectives of UN agencies who have trusted with us the leadership development of their bright talent in the mid-level management. Joining us today is Michael Emery, the Director of Human Resources at the International Organization for Migration. Warm welcome, Michael. Great to have you as a guest on our Spotlight interview. Would you mind sharing first with us a brief introduction about yourself and your role at IOM?
Thanks for that warm welcome. I'm currently the Director of Human Resources at IOM, and that role is a fairly broad role in that it covers most aspects of human resources, including, of course, benefits and entitlements, administration of justice, insurance, pension, recruitment, talent management, performance management, so the whole gamut, if you like, of human resources. So it's a fairly diverse role and one that's been particularly challenging during the COVID pandemic.
Tell us a little bit more about IOM and the organization's overall strategy to leadership development, please.
IOM is actually a fascinating organization. It was established in 1951, so almost 70 years old now. And it's considered the leading intergovernmental organization in the field of migration. And of course, works very closely with governmental, intergovernmental, and non-governmental partners in managing orderly migration. I think it's also important to stress that IOM works to help to ensure the orderly and humane migration and promote international cooperation on migration issues. IOM formally joined the UN system in 2016 and is now the coordinator of the Secretariat of the UN Migration Network, which was established in 2019. Now, in recent decades, migration has undergone considerable change in both scope and volume. Patterns of migratory movement have diversified so much that most countries in the world are simultaneously countries of origin, of transit, and of destination. And as a consequence, migration has become a major international issue, one that interacts very closely with a number of other policy domains, which of course the Staff College would be interested in, including international development, trade, security, human rights, the environment, labour issues, etc. The organisation has grown exponentially in terms of its outreach, which very much, I think, impacts on its leadership development. To date, as we speak, IOM's workforce consists of over 23,000 staff and complementary personnel coming from 186 nationalities across 600 offices and sub-offices worldwide. And even with the pandemic in 2020, IOM still managed to grow 9.4%. Since joining the United Nations system, IOM's leadership has taken a new dimension. Member states, migrants, and the international community increasingly rely on IOM to forge more coherent, holistic, adaptable approaches to migration. This at a time when international organizations must be more efficient, dynamic, agile, cooperative, and results-driven. In order to continue to remain relevant and in touch with the needs of migrants, member states and other key stakeholders require strong leadership capable of leading migration-related discussions into the 2030 SDG agenda and beyond. And I think it's worth mentioning here that we are working with increasingly sophisticated governments in this regard. So we need leaders with strong advocacy, upstream policy initiative, resource mobilization skills, and I think also very importantly, a strong dose of humility to deal with many of these complex issues. Now, leadership, of course, should be part of IOM's DNA at the individual and collective level. And to realise this, we have a 4-year roadmap that looks to deliver an enabling leadership environment for the organisation, cultivating a learning, recognition and performance culture, and facilitating collective leadership that stands up to global needs and demands. Now, leadership capability in IOM will be enhanced by creating an environment where our direction, that is our agreement on what the collective is trying to achieve, and the capacity to drive results on a single front. Alignment, which is, of course, effective coordination, integration of the different aspects of our work so that it fits together in the service and shared direction of our unified alliance of diverse stakeholders. And commitment, people who are making the success of the collective, not just their individual successes, but personal priority and our engagement towards IOM's principles and strategies. So they're fully embodied in IOM's programming and management and understood by all staff members. So we really want to get that into the DNA of our staff.
Thank you, Michael, and congratulations on IOM's anniversary. It's fantastic to hear that being one of the biggest organizations in the UN system, you have such a big part of your programming, the focus on leadership and cultivating this culture for all levels in the organization. My next question is, how much has the UN Emerging Leaders Experience program contributed to your strategy on leadership development, in fact?
I think it's fair to say that IOM's approach is to enhance leadership capability, not only among senior leaders, but equally across all organisational levels. In fact, we have a philosophy that everybody has leadership capability in the organisation. Now, the pandemic has demonstrated the immense potential and capability of our staff to lead their teams through a variety of challenges. Increasingly, investing in the Emerging Leaders Experience will allow us to support our middle managers in particular in a more proactive way and enable them to be better prepared from an organisational point of view for future workplace shifts. And we really see that that ability to be agile and dynamic and flexible as being critical in the future going forward. It will also assist them in more easily navigating the demands of UN country teams and embrace broader system-wide challenges, UN system-wide challenges. As IOM's workforce continues to grow, and at 23,000 people, we are a sizable organisation. Among these are a sizable number of middle management staff, both national and international. And I think we also really need to emphasise here that national staff play a critical role in the whole leadership capability of an organisation. In terms of numbers, we are at about 90% national and 10% international in IOM. So we work to find ways to contribute to a more coherent, holistic and adaptable approach to migration. So staff in these levels at that middle management level need to be capacitated with stronger leadership skills, such as those acquired from the Emerging Leaders Experience, so that shared leadership is personified in their work and cultivated in an environment where they work, and then is cascaded down to the next generations of staff. And we see that building that consistent approach to leadership is critical for the success of the organisation.
Actually, great to hear that you have this philosophy so strongly in the organisation. How has the UN Emerging Leaders Experience course helped IOM address gaps in learning and development and leadership development?
IOM recognises the importance of equipping staff with the relevant trainings at key points in their career. For example, we see the need to provide mid-level managers with necessary leadership skills to further support their career and professional development. Since 2018, over 20 mid-level IOM managers have attended the Emerging Leaders Experience program, and the feedback from that participation has been very, very strong. Leadership programs are important because these help shape the future of the organisation. It helps the organisation define what sort of leaders it wants. It helps potential leaders to take up roles and mindsets which are on the cutting edge of vision and strategy. I think organisations often make the mistake that mid-career individuals learn leadership by osmosis, when in fact they need some more structured learning to get it right. Leadership is too important to be left to chance, and this is particularly significant for IOM as we have a large number of mid-level managers who are responsible for anything from leading country offices, leading divisions at headquarters, leading significant projects, and leading sometimes huge teams. We have some of our big country offices, for example, have 1,500 staff members. So I think participation in programs like the Emerging Leaders Experience helps us to ensure that there is continuous and agile involvement of the organisation to address ever-changing demands of its mandate. And I think this is really important if we are serious about servicing migrants and servicing member states and migration, and making migration like really a positive experience and a benefit for all involved. Now, through leadership development programs like the Emerging Leaders Experience, we have managed to bridge the gap between leadership development in IOM and the UN system by addressing learning and leadership development needs of mid-level managers. And I think forging that consistency with what's happening in the rest of the UN system is also important. That also, of course, creates the opportunity for movement between organisations, because if you have a similar leadership mindset, psyche, culture, etc. Now, I think it's, I've got a couple of quotes here from people that have actually gone through the Emerging Leaders program. I think it might be worth sharing some of those. So my first colleague says, emotional intelligence is one of the best modules which guided me to increase my competencies and to build and lead teams through creating ethical commitment to achieve organisational goals. Also learned how emotional intelligence could be used to increase productivity of a team. So there's a very clear demonstration of a colleague that really benefited from that particular part of the course. We have had several staff who participated in the program who've gone on to assume senior level positions, and a couple of them have even now become chiefs of missions, which in the IOM context is like a country representative or a head of an organisation in the country. So clearly the Emerging Leaders Experience is creating opportunities for staff to grow and to assume those sort of really important leadership roles.
Michael, thank you so much for shedding light on really forward-looking approach in the IOM for leadership development for middle managers, and the benefits that the participants from IOM has seen from UN Emerging Leaders Program. Very thrilling. Thank you for sharing the testimonials. Could you elaborate on IOM's intention to build the capacity of mid-managers with the UN Emerging Leaders Experience Program, please?
Yeah, sure. And I think it's worth at this point mentioning that I've actually had a 20-year relationship with the UN Staff College. That started back in 2001 when I worked in peacekeeping, and since then I've been very involved in making sure that the Staff College is both relevant and successful. And so when I joined IOM, I was very keen to forge a stronger relationship with the UN Staff College. Now, IOM has been working with the Staff College on leadership programs since 2015. At that point, IOM participated in the UN Country Team program, as well as the Leaders, Women and the UN program. Now, our participation in the Emerging Leaders program started in 2018 and has been steadily increasing over the past 3 years. IOM's commitment to equip and enable mid-managers to lead their teams in evolving circumstances is demonstrated from the increasing number of emerging leader seats that we have reserved for IOM over the last 3 years. Similarly, managers are taking the initiative to enhance their capacity to lead in an inclusive and empathetic way, as demonstrated by the increasing number of applications submitted. So the way we do it at IOM is we open it up for competitive bidding. People that are interested have to meet certain criteria, and they have to have a written basically assessment as to why they think they would be a good candidate for the Emerging Leaders Experience. And then a group of peers assesses those applications, and then we allocate seats accordingly. Now, to give you a sense of the interest, in 2018, when we first did this, we only had 13 people interested. This year, in 2021, we had 35 people interested for 11 slots only. So I think also creating that competition helps to make our mid-level managers hungry for this sort of experience.
Thank you, Michael, for sharing some stats, and we're very thrilled about the 20 year of friendship with you. We do hope that soon the travel will be possible, and we're really happy to welcome you again on Turin campus. And you have touched upon the interagency element in a few months ago, and I thought that it might be a good question to ask. Whether, given the benefits that IOM has seen from UN Emerging Leaders program, would you recommend UNELE to other UN agencies, programs, and funds?
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's in everybody's interest in terms of the UN system that we forge that common approach to leadership, so we have a common lens of leadership in the UN system. As a UN system-wide learning partner, IOM's partnership with UN Staff College plays a really important role in contributing to the shape of leaders, both of IOM, but also in the UN system. We see bringing a migration lens into leadership as also important for other elements in the UN system as well. And it gives us a reference point to leadership in the UN, enabling our staff or our leaders in IOM to easily navigate the UN system. And as I said before, this also creates the opportunity for interagency mobility, something that I know that the Secretary General is very keen on, and as a UN egg, so to speak, something that I'm very, very keen on is to create that interagency cross-pollination, if you like. So yes, we would recommend the Emerging Leaders Experience to other agencies, particularly since feedback from our participants has been consistently good, and that they feel that the course is of a very, very high standard with excellent facilitation. And I also should pay credit to the Staff College for going virtual during the pandemic, which I think has shown that the Staff College as well has had that innovation, that agility, and that flexibility to deliver. And I think with courses like this that can help staff reflect on their own management style, their own leadership style, this can very much help, particularly with building virtual teams. Now, another colleague mentioned the UN System Leadership Framework. And this is a quote from her: all IOM staff should be aware of the UN Leadership Framework and its underlying principles, not just to preach them, but to live them and to inspire others through good communication and information sharing. So I think that's another very strong element of the course. This gives you a sense of how profoundly it can impact on staff that, and let's face it, most UN staff don't normally have access to sit back for a few days and to be cerebral and to think about their own leadership styles and to also get that input. I think this is one of the real values of the Emerging Leaders Experience. And finally, what I'll say is that the 360 assessment to identify areas for improvement is particularly powerful because, again, we don't often get that really honest feedback on our leadership capability and where our blind spots are. And I think that 360 is absolutely golden for staff.
Michael, thank you so much for your comprehensive response. We, as an interagency training and learning and knowledge management institution for the UN system, obviously remain committed to empowering the mid-level managers by providing knowledge, skill set, and competences, and also a positive learning experience, irrespective whether it's face-to-face or virtual. We do appreciate and look forward to further collaboration, which is mutually reinforcing and dynamic and enriching partnership with IOM. So thank you so much for joining us today and having this great chat with you. Wishing you all the best.
Thank you for the opportunity to engage with the Staff College. As you can probably tell, I'm a huge fan. I think it's very, very important for the UN system. And I think you're doing a great job. So thanks very much.
Thank you. It's actually your college, and the way that we are always telling to our participants, it's your college, so it's your place, and it's your home for learning and exchange. We're happy to serve it as such for the system. Okay. Thanks a lot.